Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at two cases where police officers used excessive force, included repeatedly tasing a naked, non-violent man over 50 times, leading to his death, and tasing another man without warning during a mental health crisis, also resulting in his death. On July 4th, 2019, in Wilson, Oklahoma, officers Joshua Taylor and Brandon Dingham responded to a call about a naked man, Jared Lakey, screaming and running down a street. In response, they hunted him down and found him lying on the road. As the officers walked over to him, they would commit some unpleasant acts of violence completely unprompted.
Put your hands behind your back for me. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Non-compliance is going to get you tased.
Oh boy!
Did that get you?
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
With no hesitation, the officers tased the victim while he was still on the ground. According to the ACLU's taser policy, the taser is a use of force and is to be used only when necessary to overcome resistance while effecting an arrest, preventing an escape, in self-defense, or in defense of another person from physical harm, and in accordance with this department's use of force policy. This is further complemented by the factors that go into tasing someone, some of which are 1. The conduct of the individual being confronted, as reasonably perceived by the officer at the time. 2. Officer subject factors, i.e. age, size, relative strength, skill level, injury, exhaustion, number of officers versus subjects. 3. Potential for injury to citizens, officers, and suspects. Mr. Lakey was not only inactive and on the ground during the time of the arrest, but also appeared exhaustive. Yet the officers found it necessary to tase the victim anyway.
Wilson, Ford County, if you have any additional units, I can head this way.
Put your hands behind your back.
Tomorrow I got you! Tomorrow I got you!
Hey, County, I can break you off.
He keeps attempting to fight with this. We had 3 tasers deployed at this time, still combative.
Put your hands behind your back.
We're clear. 3 tasers deployed.
Put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
Contact 3 as well.
The officers began repeatedly tasing the victim, almost enjoying it. It's important to note that ACLU's taser policy also states, authorized personnel may use the taser when circumstances known to the individual officer at the time indicate that such application of the taser is reasonable to control a person in any of the following circumstances. 1. The subject is violent or physically resisting. 2. A subject who, by words or action, has demonstrated an intention to be violent or to physically resist and who reasonably appears to present the potential to harm officers, him, herself, or others. 3. Absent meeting the conditions set forth in the first 2 points, or a reasonable belief that an individual has committed or threatened to commit a serious offense. Mere flight from pursuing officers shall not serve as good cause for the use of the taser to apprehend an individual. Despite Mr. Lakey being neither violent, combative, nor resistive, he was tased over and over again. This goes against another policy which states that the taser shall never be used punitively or for the purpose of coercion, which is essentially what the officers were doing now. Mr. Lakey wasn't even handcuffed either, making their actions considered even more unnecessary.
606 County, what's this 1020?
Hands behind your back.
Clear. County, I'm in route from Long Road.
Put your hands behind your back.
Hey, County, I'm going to stick with 14 to Tatum.
Unfortunately, the officers weren't content, and so they continued to torture the victim even more. At this point, they were no longer issuing verbal commands before firing their tasers. This constitutes another violation of a policy which states, a verbal warning of the intended use of the taser should precede its application, unless it would otherwise endanger the safety of officers or when it is not practicable due to the circumstances. The purpose of the warning is to 1. Provide the individual with a reasonable opportunity to voluntarily comply, 2. Provide other officers and individuals with a warning that a taser may be deployed. Multiple violations and crimes later, the officers were still committed to abusing their authority.
Okay.
Put your hand behind your back. Now. Put your hands behind your back and you'll quit getting tased.
Forward to county 3. What's your 20?
Oh, help me! Help me, please! Help me, buddy!
I've heard, sir, we're going to be at the corner at 8 on first.
Oh, buddy! Ow! Okay. Wow.
You'll quit getting tased, just put your hands behind your back and let us put you in cuffs.
Rather than going towards him and placing the cuffs themselves, the officers continue to torture the victim like he was a circus animal. At this point, the number of times the victim got tased is concerning because tasers can cause sudden cardiac arrest and death. Researchers from Indiana University School of Medicine reported in the journal Circulation that applying an electric shock with an electronic control device to the chest can be deadly. Sudden cardiac arrest is when the heart suddenly, unexpectedly stops beating, the patient stops breathing and loses consciousness. Considering that the victim was repeatedly being tased over and over again, the chances of his death only increased with each subsequent shot. The officer's actions therefore bordered on the use of deadly force. Regarding this, the U.S. Department of Justice states, law enforcement officers and correctional officers may use deadly force only when necessary, that is, when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. Once again, the victim never posed any such threat, meaning that the officers present broke yet another policy.
Oh, God, please, God, help! Ow! Okay.
We're about to have to just go hands on.
I'll wait till 3 gets here.
Ow! Ow, please! Yeah! Okay. 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 Okay, buddy. Let's do it.
The officer even says at one point that they'd need to be hands-on to restrain him. Despite that, they continued to tase Mr. Lakey. By the end of it, the victim was tased 53 times by the officers in the span of 9 minutes, making it a shocking miracle that he was still alive.
Ow! Come on, please! Help me!
Don't let him get up. Don't let him get up.
A few moments later, a Carter County deputy, David Dugen, arrived on the scene. However, rather than attempt to talk to Mr. Lakey, he did something else much more morbid instead.
County, I'm in around. County 8 clear. 5 County, I got 110-15. 605 clear. Do you still need a county deputy?
I got one. Damn, Rodney.
County 8 clear.
I got your leg. Gotta go second cuff. Move your hand.
Do whatever you want me to do.
Got it.
Got him?
Yep.
Deputy Dugen made use of a chokehold maneuver while letting the other officers handcuff the victim. Not only did such force become excessive after already tasing the victim over a dozen times, but the use of a chokehold, even if the person does not lose consciousness, causes strokes and permanent brain damage, including cognitive impairment. People with cardiovascular diseases are also especially susceptible to brain injury because of neck compression. This kind of maneuver borders on the use of deadly force, which, as previously stated, was not applicable in this scenario.
Alright, roll him over. Raise him up. He's asleep. Oh. Nope, no, he's out.
County, get so eyes and route.
Here we go.
Clear.
You awake?
Step forward.
What's worse now is that Mr. Lakey was gasping for air and wheezing while breathing. In other words, Mr. Lakey was undergoing labored breathing. Something this severe is often considered as a medical emergency, the treatment for which includes 1. Administering breathing treatments or medications to open up closed airways, 2. Receiving oxygen therapy to increase the amount of available oxygen in the air, 3. Taking certain medications if you're experiencing labored breathing due to anxiety, 4. Using a ventilator to help you breathe. However, not only would the officers fail to support the victim, but also refused to call EMT. Their incompetence consequently resulted in the victim getting closer to death.
Stop trying to find me.
All 4 cartridges. Because he'd break them off, he'd break off the line and start fighting again.
PCP, goddamn.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be PCP.
Yeah, every time he hit him with one, and I hit him, and he'd knock off the bars.
Was he out here just nicking us new version?
Yeah.
Man, he
We was at a domestic call, which it was just a verbal kind of thing. The parties already separated, and he goes out on this, and he says, "I need you to fly over here," and he's got him down a taser, but so every time we try to approach him, he starts swinging and kicking him.
It was at this point, though, after the continuous tasing, chokehold, and positioning of his body making it difficult to breathe, Mr. Lakey stopped breathing entirely.
wake up! Wake up!
What's he taking?
We have no idea.
You got psoas now? Yeah.
Is he breathing?
No, you might want to tell him to step it up.
Unfortunately, the officers on the scene failed to render medical aid for more than 3 minutes. Consequently, he was eventually hospitalized and died on July 6th. A medical examiner concluded that the 28-year-old died from a heart attack, coupled with police use of an electrical weapon. On top of that, officers were heard talking amongst themselves about the incident and speculating that, based on his behavior, Mr. Lakey must have been high on the drug PCP. However, his toxicology report found that the victim had no illegal drugs in his system, meaning that all causes of his death were directly based on the officer's actions. Due to their actions, both officers were charged with second-degree murder. However, following Mr. Lakey's death, Officers Dingman and Taylor returned to work and remained on the force until their arrests that month. As of the date of this recording though, no further updates have been made. Next up, on April 25, 2022, in Indianapolis, Indiana, Gladys Whitfield called emergency services asking for help with their 38-year-old son, Herman, who was suffering a mental health crisis at their home. In response, several officers arrived minutes later at the house.
Hi, Herman. Is it Herman? What you say?
Herman.
Herman.
Right, Mommy wants you to sit down.
Okay.
Hi. Come here. Can you sit down up here, Herman?
Okay.
Okay, let me see you do it.
Okay.
Okay. Right there at the door. Go ahead and sit down, Herman.
You are.
I can't see you, buddy. Can you sit right there so I can see you and we can talk? I don't want to do anything. I just want to talk. Herman, come back so we can talk, buddy. Hi.
Okay.
What's going on?
Honey,
Yes.
I'm gay.
Okay,
And-
that's okay.
And bite your tongue. Because
I'm not saying anything flirtatious. I just want to talk.
Daddy, you know.
The two parties continued to talk for 10 minutes. Eventually, Mr. Whitfield moved to a room and sat down on a bed. However, after panicking once more, he rushed down to the hallway. Instead of calming the victim down though, the officers took a different path.
Just enough to get him outside.
Bud, I need you to relax for me.
Whoa!
I need you to relax.
Water!
Put it down. Put that. Hey! Stop! Pick your stuff up! Stop! Stay down! Stay down! Stop!
I'm dead! Okay! I'm dead!
Stop!
Dead! Dead!
Stop!
Dead!
Without warning, the officer would tase Mr. Whitfield. As we discussed, according to ACLU's taser policy, the officer was meant to give a verbal warning before deployment. However, no such warning was given. On top of that, despite knowing that the victim was suffering from a mental health crisis, the officer tased him. After this, the officers placed Mr. Whitfield in handcuffs.
Stay on his head. Can we get that other arm?
Can you get one, Bert?
Keep this locked up.
We got him over here, Bert. We got him over here. I'm holding his hand. Hold on.
He's gotta be.
Swing that cuff. I'm holding his head. Try to... I got his hand. I got his hand. I got his hand. We got one of mine. You're fine.
Tracy, calm down, Tracy. Daddy, calm down, Tracy. Tracy, calm down.
You know what? We'll go to. I got his hand. I got his bottom hand, Bert. I got the cuff. He's got too much. He's got too much. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
It was locked up?
Yeah. Alright, you guys are. Yeah. Deal with that. Yeah. I got it. I got it. Watch, I can't pull it all out, but.
After around 3 minutes, EMTs entered the home. Unfortunately though, when they rolled the victim over, he was unresponsive. Sadly, a few minutes after that, he died. The report released from the Marion County Coroner's Office classified Mr. Whitfield's death as a homicide. The official cause of death was listed as cardiopulmonary arrest in the setting of law enforcement subdual, prone restraint, and conducted electrical weapon use. The report listed morbid obesity, hypertensive cardiovascular disease as contributing factors. However, despite the officers effectively committing murder, no further updates have been made to the incident at the time of this recording. Be sure to check out our previous video, where we cover another outrageous police encounter